Hello and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 4 American Division 1-2 semifinals or finals, something like that. It's a best of three between Boreal Esports and Team eHug, and we're currently at Game 2. I'm Gernitz V, and once again I'll be joined by Mike Loris.
All right, so game one was a very slow and painful game for Boreal as they just slowly but surely lost map control, got further and further behind, going up against three minuses, I believe, with them only having one. So just that in itself, it's not a good situation to be in, but also just being out-farmed in general. It's not really the best of times for Boreal, but it's certainly not impossible for them to come back. I think if they maybe play a little bit more greedily, then they can get something else done. But now facing up against the Brewmaster first pick, tough times ahead for Boreal, though Centaur, maybe Skywrath Mage as a response for Boreal should be the name of the game.
I'd even think that the line that they picked up in game number 1 would be a pretty decent response to Brewmaster. Just any sort of instant disable that can focus them down before he gets the split off. So we'll just have to see what Boreal are going to bring to the table, but I think what you said definitely has its merits. They either need to draft greedily or play their drafts accordingly. The Lion-Lina combination, although it got several good kills, it just didn't felt like it did enough. Clockwork and Lion's going to be opener from Boreal this time around.
So it's a minorly different start from Boreal's last opening with the Lion Doom. They're gonna wait on the Doom for now, grabbing a Clockwork rather early. And well, the Clockwork of last game was pretty deadly, but it's again a hero that you don't really pick up just to have. It's something that you kind of need to have a plan around. Brewmaster is a hero that you pick up just to have. So not really sure what Boreal are planning with this Clockwork. As far as what you could do to play with this Clockwork, maybe set up for some of those more focused AoE skills like Sunstrike or Mystic Flare, even a Death Ward to a lesser extent. So maybe Boreal going to look to go down that route.
It's going to be Avenge, another one of those heroes that you can kind of just pick up to have. It's really nice to have that defensive swap capability, especially up against somebody like a Clockwork, where you can just sacrifice yourself to the clock in order to save carry that gets hookshotted and cogged in. You can pretty much guarantee that Brewmaster is able to get off his split, although maybe not in the most ideal of positions. It's still going to be a pretty stable opening coming up from Team eHug.
Yeah, so they're going to play it pretty safe, and it's not to say that Boreal don't have a safe opening either. Clockwork Lion, it is a little bit more focused on the get many single hero pickoffs kind of plan, and that's perfectly reasonable. But they could deviate if they really want to. Have Clockwork just roam around in the beginning, hold down the fort for a while, and buy space for a little bit more of a hard carry. I don't really know if they want to do that exact same strategy since they literally just tried it and it didn't work out. So maybe they're going to want to switch things up. But if they just go for a very aggressive, we're just going to kill you all the time kind of plan, then, well, first of all, they're going to need more crowd control for the Brewmaster.
Definitely. As far as the next couple bans are concerned, Boreal will take out the Drow Ranger to deny the Drow Ranger combination with the Vengeful Spirit and Visage from Team eHug, and the Anti-Mage and Wraith King are going to be banned out again by Team eHug.
All right, so you might see the exact same bans. I don't remember, who was it? Drow Ranger? I don't remember
Tide.
who was with the Drow. Who is it?
Tide?
Yeah, that actually wouldn't be the best with the Brewmaster, but it would still be a reasonable ban. So we're going to see very similar bans with the exception of Faceless Void getting shuffled in there. So as far as what Boreal can ban out right now, there is no amazing hard counter to what they have. It's, of course, all in their plan what they want to pick down the line. That's going to determine what their bans are going to be. But I'm still feeling something along the lines of a Skywrath here. It's just so good versus Brewmaster. It synergizes well with the Clockwork. Seems like a pretty nice support to grab up. And it also will be pretty good for eHug to have. So you're essentially acting as another band there.
And also Ancient Seal with Finger of Death. I mean, there's a lot of synergies and counter synergies as well. Instead, they'll back off for the Slark, and I think that's also a pretty reasonable way to go about it, although I think the Skywrath Mage would have been my personal choice.
Yeah, it's never too late either. So Slark is going to make Skywrath Mage a little more appealing for eHug, though. Getting hard crowd control effects probably going to be a little bit more preferable for the eHug side. As far as heroes that are really good against Slark, and I see teams picking up to counter Slark, Axe has been one that I've been relatively impressed with. I don't know if that's going to be on the docket for eHug, but man, you can never say no to an Axe. It's actually impossible.
It really is. Outside of that, the Skywrath Mage wouldn't go amiss in Team eHug's team either if they want to just go for something a little bit more stable, but yeah, why not Axe?
All right, eHug. So this is your time to make me a little bit more of a fan of your organization by picking Axe. That's an open call to any team, by the way. So like if you pick up Axe, I will love you just a little bit more. Uh, as far as other heroes that they could go for, just hard CC, point click disables that are very fast to come out so that the Slark is not able to get that packed off should be the name of the game, or just random AoE so that they could burst him down. Brewmaster not really great at doing that. So it is just a hero that is still consistent with Boreal's plan. Go and kill things early on. Slark is also a hero that can do that, but at the same time, he can transition into a later game if the need arises.
Yeah. So we are waiting quite a long time for Team eHug's next pickup. They really haven't told us anything with the Brewmaster and the Venge. If they want to go for it, the Faceless Void is there, and could be... Oh no, never mind, he was banned out in the first stage, so completely scratch that. Either way, there's plenty of options for them, even outside of the more standard picks.
Right, and Boreal, they have a decent amount of crowd control, so maybe going for one of those elusive heroes, i.e. Ember Spirit, probably not going to be what they really want to do. I feel like grabbing a support hero right now is probably their best bet, or just get some initiation. We saw the slew of initiation in the last game for eHug work pretty decently. This time it's going to be a little bit more split, but if Batrider does get initiation onto Boreal, well, the follow-up isn't quite there. Still, Skywrath Mage is looking so damn good for both these sides.
If they don't go for the Skywrath Mage, I'd really like to see a Disruptor from Boreal, just having that glimpse up against the Batrider, as well as the AoE silence up against the Brews. So I don't think you could go wrong with either one of those. Skywrath Mage definitely the one that we're most accustomed to seeing.
All right, so Boreal's going to grab the Troll. That is, first of all, a really sweet combination with the Slark. Like, Slark with Essence Shift and Battle Trance is ridiculous. He's a hero that can actually man-fight a Brewmaster when the Brewmaster is split. It's not the most common you see that, but it is possible for the hero. Aside from that, I don't really see any huge synergy here. I mean, Boreal, they don't really have that much right-click pushing. Like, they don't have a Jakiro or anything who would slightly benefit or help the Troll Warlord push towers with his outrageous damage, but it's never really a too unreasonable pickup. I just don't really see it being the most spectacular pickup either.
Yeah, fair enough. Slark, if he gets an early basher, that could also be pretty sick with the Battle Trance combination. For now, eHug, they're going to pick themselves up an Ancient Apparition, and although it's not the most amount of CC, it does give them a nice tool up against Slark and his Shadow Dance. Not having that regen when he's getting, or trying to get out of the fight and reinitiate is very annoying for him, so it is quite a nuisance.
All right, so eHug, they have an answer to the Slark and the Shadow Dance, and Ancient Apparition, Vengeful Spirit is a decent roaming comp, just the two of them. If they are roaming into a Brewmaster lane, they can very easily get kills onto pretty much anyone they want. It's not the crowd control that they really want against Slark, but when you're working with massive magic damage, they can very easily shut down the Slark early on. And if eHug pick up another hero, another core hero that could fight early on, and that could make use of the Ancient Apparition Venge, then this two-hero combination of eHug can get quite a bit of traction. But for Boreal, they're still looking for one of the support heroes of their own, and they already have a Lion, so pretty much no matter what Boreal pick up as their secondary support, they will be able to mirror what the VS and Ancient Apparition can do, if not, just do it better.
For Team eHug, they're very open when it comes to what they can pick up in this last slot. They could really hammer in the mid-game, just try to counter aggression with aggression, and look to go about it that way, or they could just go for something really super late-game oriented. The Necrophos ban coming out from Boreal, I think, is definitely a very warranted one.
So yeah, eHug, they're kind of low on damage. It is going to be a pretty large opening for Boreal, where they have pretty much a monopoly on damage. With Slark and Troll Warlord, you're never really going to be at a shortage, and early game damage, Lion Clock is also pretty darn good. Hey, Slark is also fantastic at that stage, so eHug, they are going to need someone who hits pretty hard. The Ancient Apparition Chilling Touch will carry them for a little bit. Brewmaster Ultimate, depending on when and where it's used, will also carry them for a good deal of the game, but I think it is time for eHug to grab someone super late. And when you come to those heroes, well, Boreal, as I said before, have an okay amount of CC effects. It's going to be hard just because you're already up against a Troll Warlord, and if he is on top of your carry, well, you're probably not going to win that just because you're up against bashing.
Yeah. As far as the pool is concerned, I'm not sure if there's really one that immediately comes to mind. Things like Medusa could work in theory, but Medusa really wants to be sitting in the middle of the team fight. It's very easy for Slark and Troll to get right on top of. Yeah, it's really quite a balancing act. I think it's more up to what Team eHug are comfortable playing with than it is to what's good with and against Boreal's heroes.
Earth Shaker.
Right, well, Boreal, they're going to go right back to the last game, the Shaker. Probably the most mediocre display in the last game as far as the heroes of Boreal. So it's going to have a chance for redemption, first of all, and partnered with the Lion. I expect it to be very similarly played as last game, so it's mostly just a defensive hero. Uh, Man, it just didn't do anything last game, so it's hard to say that this is a really great pick. I would have just not picked up Earthshaker just because of how lackluster he was in the last game.
Yeah. It is going to give them a nice tool up against the Batrider at the very least. I was still kind of holding out for the Disruptor, although it's not going to be the case. I would like to see them go for a little bit more aggressive style of play, just with the raw amount of CC that they have, and it is actually going to be that Dusa I was talking about earlier for Team eHug.
All right, so they have the Medusa, who's going to be facing up against Troll Warlord, so bashes and blinds. Not exactly what you want if you're any carry hero, but they do have probably enough damage for the majority of the game, if not the complete game, to lasso someone and then reliably kill them off. Boreal, they have Earthshaker Lion to answer the Batrider, but at a certain point, that's just not going to be the best. So between the Batrider initiation with the lasso, potential initiation towards the Boreal side with the Brewmaster, it'll be up to the initiation power of eHug to really carry them through. For Boreal, I mean, they're going to eventually get a Blink Dagger on Lion, eventually get a Blink Dagger on Shaker, and they will have level 6 on Clockwork as well, but their initiation is, it's a little bit less important for them to get initiation. It's always nice, but if they don't, then it's fine. They just pop BKBs and then hope for the best.
On the Radiant side, eHug, it's going to be MJW playing on the Batrider mid lane. We have Lust running there, but he should be playing on the support Vengeful Spirit. The other three heroes, it's going to be Muffins on the Brewmaster, Medusa played by SN7, and Sna playing on the Ancient Apparition.
All right, for Boreal, we got Footsie once again heading down towards the offlane as the Shaker is going to be joining 470 this time on the Clockwork, smoking a Clockwork cigar. 747 is going to be on the Slark with KVH on the Troll Warlord, and up towards top, Loki's once again on the Lion, and he is probably going to just be supporting the Slark. So it's more or less the exact same laning setup for Boreal as compared to last game. Whether or not it's going to be better or worse, I mean, well, 470 last game was more or less completely shut down, and in this game, I don't really think it's going to be an exception either. Just Medusa versus Clock is not that great for Clock, but add an Ancient Apparition for Chilling Touch and a little bit more damage, then things get really bad really quickly, and that's assuming Lust just isn't in the lane, and I don't really think that's a safe assumption for the Clockwork.
Yeah, it really isn't. If Lust is there for Magic Missile, just 3 range heroes with Chilling Touch is probably enough for them to get a kill. 747 going to secure the bounty run up towards top with a little help from Loki, and they'll actually give that one the way of the line, whereas Ancient Apparition gets the bounty down towards bottom. So both teams going to start off on the same foot, more or less.
All right, so we'll see how these lanes actually break down. It's a mid lane matchup of Brewmaster Troll, which is something we don't really see all that often, but it is a pretty even lane. It is going to be level 1 Drunken Brawler being picked up, and this might be a lane where Muffin's going to consider grabbing Drunken Haze at level 2 just to start that spam out, and if you can disrupt the Troll Warlord at all, then you generally get some pretty decent value out of the skill, and it's not really the most expensive skill either, so I don't expect there to be much happening in the mid lane. Outside of a random Haste Rune being grabbed, no one should be dying there, and up towards top, well, Batrider, he's facing up against Slark Lion. This is actually pretty difficult. If the Batrider messes up with his Firefly timing, or if he just gets into a duel with Loki for too long, he could suddenly find himself into a position where he is going to get hexed and then pounced, and then at that point, there's not really much you could do.
Well then, we are going to see the Pounce connect onto MJW. Whether or not this actually gets them a kill is another story. They play amounts of CC, the damage just might not be there, and with the boots on the Batrider, I think MJW is going to be free to walk behind his tower, but we'll just have to see.
Well, there's boots on the Lion. Hex level 1 is freaking insane. Like, level 1 skill, 2.5 second point click disable is one of the best level 1 skills in the game, but it's only a level 1 pounce, so it's, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much, but it's just less damage, so Batrider should be fine, although this is going to be forcing out his restoratives rather early. At the very least, this is going to send a signal to the Batrider that, hey, you can't really stay in this lane and try to mess around with that Firefly shenanigans, because we will just force you out. So Batrider probably going to be forced out of the lane if this happens one too many times. I don't know if he's going to wait till he dies before he actually leaves, But I guess fortunately for the Batrider, he always has the jungle, and that is, this game, not really disrupted. Boreal have one observer blocking a camp, but that's about it. MJW, he might actually die here. He's taking quite a bit of damage, although it looks like they've run out of steam. If only they had level 2 on either of these two heroes, that would have been an easy kill.
Yeah, they had a little bit of body blocking action coming up from 747, but yeah, Lion just barely ticking his level 2 mark now. Another Earth Spike would have been the end of Batrider's life 90% of the time. The ward placed by the Clockwork is going to block the pole camp, but that's the only one that's been denied out from this Batrider, so I think that MJW should just go off and stack and look to farm up pretty much non-stop. Since he got his level 2 from the lane, that's probably as much as you can expect.
And level 2 is really all you need as a Batrider. You need the Firefly, you need the Napalm. Once you have that, you're golden. So it's going to be a pretty much full-on jungling Batrider from here on out. Loki doesn't really have any amazing heroes to stack for as far as stacking the jungle. He doesn't have a gyrocopter or anything like that, but still it's worthwhile to do. And if not stacking them up, then just pulling is going to be reasonable for the Lion as well. So he has his job pretty much cut out for him. It's a lot easier. He's just dealing with neutral units in the map. So he's going to have a pretty easy time. It's going to be another passive game, I feel. I mean, eHug, they are going to wait for the Blink Daggers on both the Bat and the Brewmaster. Both will come out quite a bit later in this game. And for Boreal, I think probably Blink Dagger and Slark is when they really want to get going, although since 747 is now going 1v0, might be a hand of Midas. But Muffins in the mid lane is going to get jumped. He's going to hit with a whole bunch of stuns, and he's going to be brought down. Loki's going to grab that one, and that's one of the downsides of leaving the lane as Batrider. That means there is only the need for one hero there. That means the other support can roam around the map and be dangerous.
Yeah, roam around, look for farm, and with the Lion Earthshaker combination, just the raw amount of CC it offers is usually enough to get yourself some kills. The Batrider has managed to find himself level 3 and farms up one stack of neutrals with that Firefly, but yeah, it is going to open up first blood attempts for Boreal, and it looks like 747 is going to go for the Midas, since he is in a free farm lane, and he hasn't bought anything further. Sitting on 1200 gold thereabouts, it should just be a Midas rush.
And I don't know if that's a Midas rush that can be replicated by Medusa, though she is sitting on quite a bit of gold herself. As nice as it is to have Midas on Medusa, she just needs a lot to get going, and you need to get online as fast as possible if you're eHug in this game. Midas might just be a little bit too slow. It's a possibility for her for sure, but yeah, I don't know. Lincoln Sphere isn't the best. Impale Hex, Mana Drain, that's about it, so don't really know what you go for as Medusa. You might just go for Midas just because there are no vastly superior alternatives.
Yeah. I think going for the stats build also has its merits. Just go for like Phase Aquila into Yasha, maybe even Drums, just to make sure that you're able to potentially look for some fights. Actually, it's going to be Power Treads out for the Slark. He sells it. He thinks better of it. So maybe it is going to be a Midas for 747 after all. Looks like he's a little indecisive.
Well, it's not going to be indecisiveness on SN7's part. He's going to grab Phase Boots and not think twice about it. It's a really good item to have on Medusa. The mobility that you get allows you to use the Stone Gaze offensively, and if you just keep ahead of your opponents, if you're forcing them to face you the entire time, then it gets that much easier. Not to mention the fact that with a little bit more base damage, it means that Medusa can actually sit in this lane by herself, freeing up the supports to do whatever the hell they want. Right now, Lust is actually completely without experience. He's been stacking a little bit for the Batrider, but I thought he would have at least one experience point by now.
Yeah, I would too. This is very peculiar. I thought he was at least getting pull experience or something. Footsie, as well as Loki57, are going to be smoked up towards the mid lane, and this could be yet another kill onto the Brewmaster of Muffins. Gets a little too comfortable. For now, he knows that both of those supports are missing and off of the map. He's not even going to go up towards the lane.
And that's a pretty good call. Even if he did have his level 6, I think there might just be enough disable here for Boreal, enough damage to straight out kill him before he can get that split out. So Brewmaster going to be passively pushed back in this lane, making it a little bit easier for the Troll Warlord, who is slowly but surely pulling ahead in the CS department, but not by a huge enough margin to make things too huge. I mean, Brewmaster, once he hits level 6, can swing the entire thing around, so it's fine there. But Boreal, and they still have a Slark who's working with absolute free farm up on top. They're going to maybe send the AA up there to grab a little bit of experience, but he has to be really careful. Slark at this point can solo kill pretty much whoever goes up to this top lane, especially if it's a level 3 AA.
Good news for Lust is he picks up his first experience points in a small pool camp. But yeah, this Vengeful Spirit really isn't going to be doing very much of anything until later on in the game. Once level 6 comes out and later on buffing up the Medusa is going to be really nice, but we really haven't been able to see the level 1 aggressive potential of eHug that they do have between the Ancient Apparition and the Vengeful Spirit, potentially with the Magic Missile.
And that's one of the downsides of having only a level 1 Vengeful Spirit who's actually just used Wave of Terror. The enemy knows that there is absolutely no threat coming out from this hero, and they will just go for it. 470, gonna trap the Venge in with level 2 Battery Assault, level 2 Flare Lust, trying to get something out, but just can't do it. That's going to be a kill on the Venge. Battle Trance goes out to help out. It's going to help out top lane as well, where Snaw's trying to play Ring Around the Rosie with the Slark, but he's going to put himself in a corner. The jukes are not good enough, and 747 with Dark Pact is going to claim that kill. Boreal off to a nice 3-0 advantage in this game.
Yeah, it's a 3-0 advantage as well that they are sitting on a Midas for their Slark, and he's still able to fight even with that item. I think Trez into Shadowblade could also be a really good build for the Slark this game around, and I think they could probably get away with it just because of how free a time he is having up to this top lane. Ancient Apparition again is going to TP up towards here, and it's going to mean that AA eventually is going to go this level 6, but he might end up dying another time for it.
And if there's something that you'd want to avoid, it's a Slark getting free farm, but even more so, it's a Slark getting free farm and getting fed kills upon kills, and that's just the worst time in the world. But what I like what's going on right now for Boreal is that they're actually going to give the Earthshaker some farm. That's something that we didn't see in the last game. Slark at this point with the Shadow Dance is not really the fastest clearer of neutral creeps, but he can do it very safely since he'll just regenerate in between camps. A Shaker with a faster blink is going to be huge, and it's pretty much the same reason that for both teams why the top lane is now an Earthshaker versus an Ancient Apparition. These supports are actually getting some love.
Yeah, and the Lion also getting some love in mid. The Troll and the Slark have completely occupied their jungle, and it's something that they can do. KVH, if he also gets, at some point, lifesteal, they can look for a very easy Roshan for their side. Lust is currently spotting that one out, but spotted out by Clockwork Hookshot. Not exactly sure. Ooh. Hook is going to miss, but still just running him down with Battery Assault. This very well might be a kill. Haystream picked up by Lust might save his life, and Vengeful Spirit's going to be able to run out there safely. If that was any other rune, I think he dies. Invis, I suppose, saves him as well.
Yeah, Invis makes him get away for sure. If Clockwork actually had 10 more mana, then I think even with the haste, Vengeful Spirit would have died. The cogs could have... I don't know, cogs are always weird just because of how big they are, but I think it was... The Venge is still in range, even with the haste, to get cogged in, and that would have been a kill, so... Vengeful Spirit cutting it really close, but she's going to survive for now. Maybe this game, she's going to be the one struggling. It's certainly not going to be Footsie, or at least not as much. But Venge and Ancient Apparition, said before how they do have kill potential. This is just one of those games where the supports are playing 100% defensively, and it's generally not the best way to play, I think. It's up to the supports to really pressure the likes of the mid lane, and if you don't do that, then, well, KVH is going to be exactly where he is now, on the top of the CS chart, and very happily farming wherever the hell he wants to go.
One of the big items for eHug is now this Blink Dagger up on the Batrider, so they do have potential to make some action happen around the map, and it's a pretty darn fast Blink Dagger, although at this point Boreal should expect something's up, since Batrider has been in the jungle for the majority of this game. Smoking up, he's going to TP towards mid, and it looks like they're going to find a kill onto the Lion.
Alright, so 5 seconds and Batrider will take to the skies. Muffins does have a clap to help out. They have a blast coming in as well. And Loki is so many layers of dead right now. He's going to get pulled right back into a clap, and that will blow the Lion up. Easy kills over in mid. Blink Dagger being used for a kill, and that's pretty much the plan for the Batrider. It's going to also help fuel the Brewmaster's Blink Dagger, since he did in fact get that kill. He's now only 100 gold away from his, so eHug, they're going to slowly start to get the machine going. Blink Dagger 1 going to lead to Blink Dagger 2, which means more space for SN7. And so far, this Medusa has had pretty much zero pressure applied to her. What does she have flying out to her right now? It is going to be a Yasha completed, plus a Ring of Aquila, or Wraith Band. It's a Ring of Aquila, so we got a whole lot of agility right now for SN7, meaning that it's more and more difficult for any solo hero to stay on this bottom lane for Boreal.
Quite like the build coming out from the Deuce. I think it's a good way to go about playing it. I was half hoping that Ancient Apparition would just throw a blind ult in the enemy woods, since Slark was so aggressively jungling, dropping down to double digits HP, fighting up against the Wild Guns. Of course, it's a fight that he wins, but Ancient Apparition could have been that X factor. Hookshot not going to be attempted inside the woods. I don't think that Flare actually spotted out the Venge.
And yeah, it would have been close either way. It looks like he's drawing a circle, so he knows someone is there, but probably not worth diving a tier 1. He only has level 2 battery assault, so though Clockwork will get that kill eventually, it's going to take a very long time, and eHug will have more than enough time to mobilize and punish that Clockwork's play. But for right now, it's going to be eHug with, once again, initiative in this game. Boreal, they have a whole bunch of items, and they're nice to have, but they're not really game time items, whereas Blink Dagger on both the Brewer and Bat means that those two heroes can get quite a bit done. Over towards top lane, it's going to be Footsie to take the lasso. He's going to get dragged right back into an AA blast, and I think with that alone, it's going to be Death of the Earthshaker. Flame Break for good measure. Second lasso of the game, resulting in the second kill for the Bat, and that's pretty much exactly what you want as a Bat Rider in any game. Every single time you have lasso, you want to be using it just so you could use it that much sooner the next time, and if it gets you a kill, then that's just gravy.
Yeah, 747 again dropping low. I want to see it get punished, but I don't think it will be. But yeah, eHug, they've been executing this Batrider Blink combination with the Ancient Apparition very well, and just finding the openings wherever they can. Even though they're not the most high priority kills, they're still good enough, as long as you're able to get them every time it's off of cooldown, and they have been able to maintain that aggression. Whereas the Clockwork hasn't been so lucky. He got that one solo kill on the bench. Outside of that, he hasn't made any rotations or found any kills.
Every time you get a kill on someone like that from Boreal, maybe you force rotation out from anywhere near the Medusa, but it's going to be, first of all, a hook shot in for MJW. Looks like that's going to fail, since Batrider will fly right over those. Power cogs do not work like that, unfortunately. For the clock, Bat's going to be A-okay, but I mean, every single time that eHug make a play, or Boreal make a play on anyone on eHug, it's the Medusa to come out ahead, and I suppose the Slark is kind of mirroring that. He's very slowly farming the jungle, though, whereas Medusa's farming the lane, and generally the hero farming the lane is going to outpace the hero farming in the jungle, though Slark does have a Hand of Midas to keep him ahead for now. Because he's deciding to give a lot of farm to Footsie, he's actually slowing his own farm down by quite a bit, and I don't know if that's going to cost him in the long run, but it is going to hurt the potential gold that he could have right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The Medusa is looking really scary, although currently Dusa has no points into ult. That's completely fine. SN7 hasn't been pressured at all. I would have liked to see maybe less points into Mystic Snake in the lane that was given to the Dusa, but to each his own. I think it's completely acceptable. They're going to throw an Ancient Apparition Ice Blast towards the mid lane. That's going to connect onto Loki, but there's no follow-up to actually kill him off, just some casual harass.
I think the more important part of that was the blast flew over 470, so they knew that Clockwork was right there. They're going to try to grab him, and they will grab him in the lasso, bring him right back into Muffins. There is not enough lasso duration, though, but he's going to fall down regardless. Muffins already used the clap and missed, but all that doesn't matter because they got the kill in the end. It's another hero off the table for Boreal, one less tool in the toolbox, which means more room for Medusa. And still eHug, they're just sitting on the split from Brewmaster. I don't even know if Muffins has used his Blink Dagger at this point. It's pretty much just been the Batrider show for eHug. They were at a 0-3 disadvantage at some point in this game, but since the Batrider picked up his Blink, it's been nothing but wins for eHug.
Although a late game Slark is threatening, is it as scary as a late game Medusa? I'm not so sure. They are going to potentially put an end to SN7's free time in the lane, but he's going to finish up that tower and now pick himself up an Ultimate Orb, presumably towards the Scotty, but you can't actually fault him for going for the Manta style either. Both are definitely valuable items to have in your inventory. The smoke coming out from eHug isn't going to spot them out yet. Loki is going to run into Medusa, hexing him up or spiking him secondarily. Hookshot, short range, they cogs him in, Finger of Death. It actually didn't do that much damage because of the mana shield. Now completely out of mana, SN7 needs to be careful, but SN7's completely fine, turns around, they get a kill onto the line. A long range HF version is going to land onto 470, and they'll be able to bring him down. To ganking Medusa is very, very difficult.
She had a full health pool, a full mana pool, and I guess fortunately for Boreal, while Ancient Apparition was aiming his ultimate up on the top lane, he was picked off, so Boreal at least gets something, but this Ancient Apparition has a Hand of Midas. He is pretty much guaranteed any item that he could want in this game now. It should be maybe upgraded boots, then Aghanims, or just straight Aghanims, but either way, Ancient Apparition is exactly where he should be, and when you gank any hero with 3 heroes like that, if you're Boreal, you expect to get that kill, and you probably expect to get out as well, but they didn't even get that Medusa kill. She tanked that all up, and now with an Ultimate Orb on her person as well, it's going to be that much more difficult for Boreal to kill her the next time, and it was played more or less perfectly. They were a little bit staggered because of their initiation ranges, but they got all their skills off, and they chain stunned her more or less perfectly, but it still just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it really isn't. It's deceptive. When you look at the HP pool of Medusa, it's not actually 1,000. Her effective HP is through the roof, with Mana Shield absorbing 60% of incoming damage, as long as she has the mana to back it up. And, well, that time around it was used to absorb the entirety of a Lion Finger of Death.
top lane. Sna is going to see a very weakened Slark, but he will think better of it. He's just going to chill and farm the top lane. I mean, at least someone from eHug is doing it. The rest of the team, they are smoked and they want blood. They're going to lay the Medusa out as bait. I don't think the Clockwork is going to be biting, but even if he doesn't, it's top lane instead where they're going to go, and it's going to be Slark in the area, KVH also in the area. Boreal might be in a situation where they have bit off more than they could chew. They're going to get the smoke blown, blink forward, lasso into KVH. Ice Blast going to be missed a little bit, but it doesn't really matter since KVH is dead anyway. Even with the missed Ice Blast, I mean, they are forced to use the split there. Less than ideal, but it's still a kill on the Troll Warlord, and that is good no matter when you actually manage to get it done.
It'll also be a very easy tier 1 tower since it's already at 171 HP. Boreal, they don't even have a glyph to defend it. They previously used it. That's going to be yet another tower destruction for SN7, and well on his way towards some really major items. Oh, he is going to get his TP cancelled by the Clockwork, and he is going to get bounced back by the Cogs, which is annoying, but by no means damning for SN7. He'll just back off and farm up his medium and large camps instead of the lane.
He has to walk like some sort of poor person instead of teleporting everywhere. It's a rough life for Medusa for sure, but it's a worthwhile usage of a hook shot to, first of all, burn the gold to Medusa, then deny her that extra bit of farm. I feel like it's the same exact situation that we saw in the last game, where eHug, they just are slowly getting more and more farm out of this map. Yeah, Boreal, they're working with even Midases this game, just one on the Slark and one on the Ancient Apparition. Obviously, Slark benefits a little bit more from that. But it just feels like eHug, they're just getting more objectives and more of everything no matter where they go. It might not be the case over towards the bottom where Muffin's going to get jumped. He is going to get fingered, and that is going to be the death of him. But still, it feels like eHug just have more control over this map, and it's mostly due in part because they have a Batrider who's been very, very active.
Yeah, yes. Every time he has a lasso, he's been at least looking for kills. This is probably the longest time of downtime he's had when he has a lasso. Blink Dagger on the line is nice for Boreal, but is it nice enough? Instead, we look towards top as the Ancient Apparition is potentially being collapsed upon by 747 and company, but they just don't have a great way to get in range. No Blink Dagger or anything of the sort for 747. It's going to be an SNY.
It's not a terrible item on
MJW?
bottom lane. Yeah, MJW is going to get impaled. Force Staff down. Maybe he gets away from this one, but KVH giving chase, has to chase through fire if he wants to do it. Here comes TP support from the Brewmaster. TP is not going to do that much. Ice Blast going to hit onto no one, so I guess they keep their Batrider alive, but Boreal trying to make a play, and that's just not going to work out. It's actually going to be double Sanjin Yasha, it looks like. Maybe Yasha BKB for the Troll Warlord, but no, it's actually double Sanjin Yasha. So Boreal going all in on this very mid-game oriented type of item build. It's fine if they were playing a lot more aggressively and actually getting ahead because of it, but Sanjin Yasha isn't really a great item to mass up.
Yeah, it really isn't. I would have liked to see the Troll maybe go for some sort of lifesteal so they can sneak a Roshan, maybe a Medallion on one of the supports. And even so, yeah, I think what you say definitely holds true. It would have been an okay choice if they're actually actively looking for fights, but they need to very shortly after these are both completed. Sitting back and farming on an SNY, this isn't the way you play the game.
Huh, so SN7, he has an ultimate orb, he has a Yasha. He doesn't have a Lincoln Sphere, he has a Perseverance instead, so... Or he doesn't have a... Damn it. Okay, so he doesn't have Man Style, he's gonna go for a Lincoln Sphere because he has Perseverance instead. I was so close to actually saying that correctly, but I messed it up at the end. But either way, the Medusa is going to go for a rather light Lincoln Sphere. Yasha Lincolns is not a uncommon build for Medusa by any stretch. I still don't think it's the best item in this game, but more mana regeneration, I guess, is never really a bad thing. And she still has Yasha, so more stats is never a bad thing for Medusa.
Yep. I would have liked to see Scotty instead of going for the Lincoln Sphere. I don't really think it's blocking enough to warrant it. The initiation from Lion, I suppose. And that really is the biggest of things. Anything blocked from the Lion is a good spell that SN7 doesn't want to have applied. Even the mana drain. Ooh, Lasso, they found themselves jump onto 470 and we'll be able to burst him down with the split being used. That's a death on the clock.
That was even with, even trade. That's definitely what I was going to say. At Sna, sticking around for a little bit too long up towards top, making it once again even trade, but killing off a Clockwork versus giving a kill over to the Slark. I'm not really sure who comes out truly ahead in that trade, but that was even killing off a Clockwork who had a haste rune, and that is really, really difficult to do. Killing any hero with a haste rune is hard, but Clockwork, as durable as he is with haste, is damn near impossible, but they managed to get it done anyway. Because the lasso and split is now down, Boreal have an opening up towards top though, so it might be hurting eHug a little bit more than it's helping them.
They spot out the Batrider with the ward placed by the Lion, but he's going to force Staff out to safety. Just a little bit posturing coming up from both sides as Dusa farms up an Ancient stack.
And it looks like Boreal, they know that the ultimate status of eHug, currently most of their ultimates are down, but they're not going to push forward for it. SN7, he has his Lincoln Sphere completed. He's farming up very, very well, but at the same time, Troll Warlord and Slark, though they have gone for more or less the same exact build, these two heroes are pretty darn good in the late game, but they're not really going for late game items. So it's a weird game state right now where Boreal, they are right now so much more powerful than eHug if they actually got into a full-on fight, but it seems like they're just kind of scared of taking the full-on engagements. And up against Split and Lasso, it's very easy to see why, but they really can't afford to be scared of these ultimates. They're going to try to go for Roshan, eHug, and Boreal. This is now their chance to shine. This is their chance to show that they have all these Sanjinyashas. This is exactly a time where you want to be fighting.
If they were really paying attention, they might have spotted out the Wave of Terror flying over the Ancients area, so let's see if they actually know what's up. I think they do, but again, they feel a little timid. They're going to throw a flare into the pit, and now it's completely known what's going on. Hookshot's going to connect into the Batrider point blank, and that's going to be about all she wrote.
Man, that was some play from MJW. Secret Service saving the president right there, and he just jumps right in front of the hookshot. I don't know if he planned on blocking the hookshot, because he was obviously planning on getting the lasso there. But either way, it's a hookshot being spent and the rest of his team getting out to safety and Batrider also getting out. So it worked out very well for eHug in the end, but it might not work out very well for Boreal. Ice Blast will spot out the rest of their Roshan attempts. Flame Break will push the Slark up to the high ground. He's now out of the picture, and it's going to be KVH to get walled off defensively by the Earthshaker. Nice Fissure, making so that the Brewmaster is doing literally no damage to this whole engagement, but it doesn't really matter because Troll Warlord is still completely all alone. He's going to put a lot of damage to Lust, but he will fall short. Brewmaster ultimate, the rest of it won't do anything as 747 assassinates the Vengeful Spirit in the meantime, but they get the lasso onto Loki, and they will bring down the Lion. Another fish onto Snod, that will make it a 2 for 2 so far. 747 charging forward for more, but eHug, they don't have their Medusa right now, so they have to just book it. And MJW, actually, no, drops down onto the low ground. This is going to be really bad for him if a pounce lands. With Sanjinyasha, the wind speed on Slark, he should be able to close the distance, but no, 4 staff up from Batrider, he'll be fine. A 2 for 2 right now. Boreal, they're going to go right back into the Roshan pit. I don't know if they have enough for this, though, especially with Medusa here. It's going to be a very close fight.
Let's see how it's actually going to break down. Blink Clap onto 470, but the Cogs bounce back too. They'll start focusing down the Clockwork, and he's going to be dropped very quickly inside this fight. 747 now completely left alone. Man fight against Buffett. It's a man fight that he can win. The ultimate pop by Medusa, a little bit late to save the Brewmaster. Now 747 going to focus down yet another hero. He has plenty of stacks of the S and shift in stack 16. Couple of hits uphill aren't going to connect onto the Batrider. The uphill misses. Now the Echo Slam on a 2. Finger of Death into 1. That's going to be the end of Venge's life. And now SN7 completely out of mana and without enough damage. Can't go for anything further. With the Troll ultimate being spent, the right clicks, pounce going to miss from the Slark. Will it still be enough to kill off SN7? The ranged axes are also going to miss as SN7 looks for a juke and then walks right back in to the entire enemy team. And it's going to be a fight that Boreal will come away handily with.
Man, it looked so great for eHug once they picked off that Clockwork. He got the cogs up and did some damage with that, but that's about all he did. Just got picked apart. But eHug right now, they are running into a problem of low damage. And before they picked up the Medusa in the draft, I was saying that that would be the problem. They would get the initiation and they would probably pick off one, but after that, they fall short. Whereas for Boreal, maybe won't get the initiation they need, but with Slark, they have all the damage in the world, especially if 747 is able to escape from all those situations, and he did escape from that. So the Medusa, she is sitting on quite a bit of net worth, but it just isn't enough right now. She needs something that gives her a lot of plus damage, or an Eye of Scotty, just so that she could be nigh invulnerable while she's right-clicking. What she has right now isn't enough for the team, and maybe it'll be a little bit different if they actually use Split a little bit more effectively. Not to say that the Split was bad, but the Earthshaker Fissure was just too good. But it's going to be, again, an awkward stage where eHug are just substantially weaker than Boreal, and they might not realize it.
Kill on the Lion. In the meantime, Sna is also going to take out by 470. Both these supports are taken out almost simultaneously. Now they jump on the Medusa. Action in all 3 lanes. Medusa has the ultimate. Can she get it off? They are going to split her out. It's probably going to scare the end of the Venge's life. They stone up 747. Now SN7 needs to run away. Turns for 1 cheeky auto attack. Probably should have just ran straight out, but still going to save the Medusa's life at the cost of 1 support. It's 2-1. It's going to be the end trade.
Here comes the supports, though. Blink forward into a split. Going to go straight for KVH. Fissure going to buy the Troll Warlord. Once again, a little bit more space and time. He's going to get thrown up into the air, though. He has an Aegis, but it looks like he will be forced to use it right now. I don't know if eHug have enough to kill him off twice, because 747 is going to reinitiate, this time with an Invis rune. Brewmaster's going to do what he can, but what he can do is not that much, especially when he jumps right back into an Impale from his main form. Muffins is going to get force staffed over the Fissure. That might actually lead to his survival. Well, not with Footsie. Actually, no, he's going to miss the Enchant Totem. So yeah, that force staff saved Muffins' ass right there. And it looks like everyone else from eHug is going to survive and get the tower denied as well. So it's a successful counter-initiate. They burn the Aegis, not burning any resources themselves, except for just cooldowns. So a reasonable defense from eHug, but still Boreal, if they just keep up with this aggression, if they just don't let up on the gas, then they're going to find themselves in a really, really good position. And they already are. I mean, the Basher and Maelstrom on Slark, he's getting to a point where eHug just can't do anything about him. If they don't initiate on the Slark with a lasso, if they don't turn him to stone, then he's just going to run over the entirety of eHug by himself.
I'm not exactly sure why it took so long for them to actually get this aggression up, but it is very scary. Troll Ultimate, as well as with just the attack speed that Slark has built for himself between the Yasha, and my goodness, that Troll Ultimate plus the damage, it's going to pretty much max him out in attack speed, and although for most heroes that's not super impactful, the recent changes to max attack speed are actually going to be impactful this game.
He has the correct build to actually abuse that as well. With Maelstrom, more attack speed equals more damage. With Basher, I mean, it's more consistent stunning, and that's never a bad thing either. So 747 is going to make use out of that massive attack speed increase. Unfortunately for Boreal, the Troll Warlord and Slark are really the only ones who can make usage out of the Battle Trance attack speed in a substantial way, but man, 747 could do so much just by himself right now, and he's hunting for blood, sees Teal, sees the Brewmaster. It's going to be hard without Lion to help out, but no, here comes Lion. Blink, Hex, and even 470s here as well. Finger of Death being used. Ice Blast going to come in, connect on a 470, but it's way too late. Brewmaster is long dead.
That's going to be a pretty clean pickup for Boreal. In the meantime, Medusa's farming, so not all is lost for eHug, but it's still a good pickup for them, and they need to keep up this aggression. This is really where they shine. There really isn't a chance for eHug to fight back if they get the Blink Hex onto somebody. They're pretty much straight up dead as long as there's a Slark close by.
And as long as Lust isn't right next to them. And it's only a level 1 swap, so even if someone does get Blink Hex, Hookshot, I mean, Vengeful Spirit doesn't really have that much time to actually jump into action. Even if she does, she might not get the target out far enough away to actually lead to their safety. So right now, Boreal, they are in complete control of this game. It no longer feels like eHug have a firm grasp of this game. And honestly, except for just stalling out for the Medusa, I don't know if there's anything that eHug can do to get back control, because 747 is able to assassinate pretty much whoever he wants. He's going to run into the Ancient Apparition for the umpteenth time, and that's going to be yet another kill for the Slark.
Yeah, 10-0-1. It took a while for the Slark to get online, but now he fully is. 747 doing a whole truckload of damage to pretty much anybody who wants to. A Scotty next would be nice for him. Honestly, I'm not sure it matters. Right now, he's really hit one of the strides of Slark and can do pretty much whatever he wants to do. Scotty is completed up on the Medusa, I suppose, speaking of that item, but well, let's see. Blink forward, looking for the lasso, just not enough range on MJW, and Slark's going to be able to walk that one off very cleanly.
So SN7, he's going for a really standard Medusa build where you just mass up on stats, but right now he needs to be able to actually kill off the Slark before Slark kills all of his teammates, and I think at this point there's no chance the Medusa could actually do that. It's a racing scenario for the Medusa, and you know, it's nice to have the Eye of Scotty just as a nice item to have, but right now the Medusa, her job is to kill off the Slark before Slark kills off all of her allies, and Eye of Scotty is not the correct item for that. She needs like a Daedalus or an MKB, dare I say a Doctor, but it's a long ways off until I think SN7 is going to think about that item. Either way, it's still Boreal, who are, I mean, they've had spurts of aggression, but they're not really playing as aggressively as I would really expect from a team that they should know that they're far ahead right now.
Yeah, they definitely should, and exactly how far ahead, you ask? It's about 5,000 in net worth, and a lot harder, or larger of an experience lead, in 12,000 in the Boreal's favor. I think they really should abuse this. Even the heroes that don't have a large amount of items, they have what they need, with the Blink on the Earthshaker, Force Staff as well, and similar items for the Lion. Although his Force is still incoming, he has the Blink, and honestly that's all that you need to have at your disposal. It's not about the raw numbers, it's about what these numbers actually mean for the heroes in question.
And I guess Boreal, if they really felt like it, they could just wait forever. Because again, Troll Slark is pretty darn devastating. But when you get to the stage where you choose to either use your lead that you have and try to get more objectives, or just sit back and try to take into the late game against Medusa, you get into more of a coin flip situation, or at least it's a coin flip situation that can be avoided. For right now, it's going to be Lust to blow the smoke, and he's going to be so unhappy that he did that. SN7 is going to get in there with a nice stone gaze, but he's going to hit with an Echo Slam. BKB's already up on the Brewmaster, but it's not going to be time to save MJW. Footsy's going to get annihilated by SN7. Loki and 470 both going to get hit with split shot as well. 747 going to go straight for SN7, but he's just doing so much damage right now, but not enough actually. Snaw's going to get the kill, landed that Ancient Apparition blast from very far away. KVH going to try to grab the gem and book it. He will grab the gem, but I don't know if he's going to book it. Bailed out by Loki, perhaps. That stun is maybe enough, although Muffins with another blink clap. KVH not looking too healthy right now, and he's going to lose the gem. That Ancient Apparition, I think, just saved eHug. If he did not land that blast, Slark would have just gone ham all over eHug.
Yeah, I think so as well. That also secures yourself the Aghanim Scepter for the Ancient Apparition, because that was a beyond godlike spree that was ended. Huge victory for eHug. This game could be looking so different if Boreal actually were able to secure that fight. Now Medusa does have the option to go into some really major damage items, and I think that's probably the right choice. I'd like to see a Daedalus MKB if she fears that Slark is going to go for a Butterfly next, but just anything to give you more ways to fight up against it, because we kind of saw a glimpse of it in that fight. If it's just SN7, if it's just the Slark, it's going to be Slark to take that victory. So, yeah, the snapback after that's going to be a tier 2 tower up towards top, taken out by eHug, but this could be a really crucial fight if you look back at this game.
Maybe MKB is a little bit better this game, just think about it. There's Troll Warlord mischance to worry about. Not really sure how worried Medusa is about that, but who knows, it might be relevant enough to persuade her to go for an MKB over Daedalus. Either way, more damage equals a better time, or just having Sanal land in ultimate. Now that I think about it, most of the fights from Boreal that they have taken have been following a pick off on the Ancient Apparition. So Ice Blasts have not been the most spectacular. Landing it on Slark is going to be the #1 objective for eHug. Like, it doesn't really matter who they lasso, honestly. As long as they land the Ice Blast on the Slark, it's going to be them with a chance to win that fight.
It's actually going to be a Butterfly in SN7, which is an okay item to man fight up against the Slark. It's kind of going to force 747 Cannon going into an MKB, and that does have its merits for sure, but I would have liked to see something a little bit more punchy.
Hey, if this game keeps going as it is, there's always time for both. I mean, Butterfly is a lot of damage. 60 damage is nothing to sneeze at, and a whole bunch of attack speed to boot. And of course, that evasion versus Boreal, and as you said, forcing their hand with MKBs. It's a really good item to have on any agility hero, really. Medusa's no different. So I think it's reasonable enough, and yeah, I think it's a reasonable pickup. And it seems like she probably could get both, so I don't think it really matters. This game isn't ending anytime soon.
Fair enough. Right now, the Troll's the one to be picking up a little bit more slack when it comes to items. It's going to be a BKB for KBH, so maybe he is actually going to make use of just blinking in the middle of the fight and picking fights with the Medusa, which is probably a decent way to go about things. But yeah, we're just kind of falling back into a little bit more of a passive farming state of the game. Roshan's going to be respawning very shortly. We have an Icy Vortex inside the pit as well as a Clockwork Flare. Looks like both should time out before Roshan actually respawns. He's going to be back up in a couple of seconds.
Alright, so in a Roshan pit fight, Boreal, they have the ability of Slark just to duck and weave, get in, get out, and make use of his Shadow Dance. Outside of that, eHug, they have almost complete supremacy. You don't want to mess with the Bat Rider in the Roshan pit. You don't really want to mess with Stone Gaze in the Roshan pit either. And of course, Ancient Apparition has an easier time landing that Ice Blast, so it's going to be a little more difficult for Boreal to grab Roshan, especially since they're going to be constantly scouted by an Aghanim'd Ancient Apparition ultimate. But if it does come down to a Roshan fight, it's going to be really hard for Boreal. They have to pick off someone or just get really good initiation and dodge the Ice Blast, because now it's Aghanim'd, and if Slark gets hit by that, then it's game over for Boreal. Or not game over, but fight over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. They can't take an engagement if it lands. The Ancient Apparition Ice Blast is going to scout out that Roshan is up. This is a tiny, tiny window where they can potentially look for a fight. They'll blink forward, hunting for the Bat Rider, but aren't able to connect with them. The ranged axes are also going to miss. And for now, both teams are just going to follow back. The line has pretty much been drawn at this large creep camp.
I think the line was actually a wall of fire. So Firefly conveniently separating both sides. It looks like that Firefly is going to dispel itself, and that means the line is no longer there, which means it's free to cross. SN7, he's laying himself out as bait right now. This is very obviously bait. And Boreal, they're not going to take it. They're instead going to wrap around. Hookshot is out. It's not going to fly and spot out anyone substantial. And now MJW looking for his target, but it's going to be Lust to get Hookshot first of all. And MJW, he's going to get hexed up, immediately brought down. Here comes the Ice Blast, which will land its chilling effect onto the Slark. That's a successful Ice Blast from Sna. Can they actually put enough damage into 747 to kill him off? They're going to Cyclone him, but it's not going to last for much longer. SN7 is not getting focused at all. The 747 Slark will shatter. That'll be a successful kill for eHug. They're going to clean up the rest. SN7 going to grab the Earthshaker. Everyone else from Boreal, they have to turn tail and run. Muffin's going to return to his main form, straight into a spike. But SN7, Brewmaster, they could still chase for more if they actually were able to catch up to anyone. Hookshot out from the Clockwork. It's a 3 for 2 for the Boreal side, but they still have this Medusa to worry about, and their Slark is dead.
Yeah, I'm okay with that trade if I'm eHug because of the heroes that fell. It's 2 supports plus a Batrider for Earthshaker and Slark, which is completely acceptable. I thought the Lion would actually fall there, and maybe he did, and I'm just crazy. But still, Hookshot, oh, they're going to jump into this Medusa, they TP it. They're going to bounce back the Medusa, draining a little bit of her mana, and now the man fight commences. There is some backup coming out from Muffins. SN7 isn't looking too great when it comes to mana pool, and they might not be able to kill off the Troll, but 470 not going to be so lucky. They'll be able to right-click him down, and that's going to be a dominating spree for SN7, and a tier 2 tower destruction.
So, you don't mess with Medusa. Like, that's not something that should be done pretty much ever when you're at 35 minutes in the game and Medusa's packing the items that she is. I guess it was just an attempt at maybe we burn out her mana and then take her down with some lucky bashes, but man, Medusa wasn't even attacking the Troll Warlord and he was just dying to the split shot, and this is with Medusa not packing any huge damage items outside of that Butterfly either. So, Boreal, if they're gonna try to make plays like that, they need the Slark there. If Slark is there, if it's only Slark there, they can get it done. But if Slark's not there, I don't really see it happening, especially if SN7 has any sort of backup.
Yeah, and even if the Slark is there, it's sort of a game of bashes. If he's able to eat through the Butterfly and gets a bash onto SN7, maybe that's the case, but a Medusa, especially with backup, is just not something that they can kill. And it looks like eHug are going to abuse that fact and go down towards mid lane. Tier 2 tower is looking mighty juicy, and Medusa is going to take this one pretty much uncontested as the Batrider and Brewmaster combination look towards the Troll. Blink away into the lane from KVH is going to keep him safe as Medusa mops up her 4th, if not 5th, tower destruction of this game.
Well, they missed the clap up towards top. KVH is going to pop the BKB and straight TP out of there. If they had the clap land, it wouldn't have made the difference, but it's going to be Sna to be in the most trouble. Once again, for I don't even know how many times this is now, Ancient Apparition is going to get picked off, and unfortunately for him, he's really needed right now because Roshan is still alive, was not attempted by either side, and without this AA, Boreal have a really huge opening right now. They're going to jump to the Roshan pit, and eHug, yeah, they have to buy back just to get that Ice Ball back into play. And will they throw it out? They are tracking for now, but a hook shot into SN7. Going to burn a little bit of his mana to start out with. Blink forward for Hex on SN7. He's completely isolated from the rest of his team. This could be a free kill on the Medusa. She needs to get a Stone Gaze out like right now, but she's losing mana so quickly. Permastun does get the Stone Gaze now and will connect onto 747. They're going to focus down the Slark and they will kill him off. SN7 is still alive, though he doesn't have any mana. He will go to town onto 470, and that will be the death of the Clockwork slowly but surely. He'll get thrown up into the air to save him for a couple of seconds, but it's only a couple of seconds. He's going to die. SN7 lives, and Roshan is still alive for eHug to try to take, if they even want to. No, they're going to go for the base. They know that Slark is dead. They're going to try to force the buyback, and, well, unknowingst to them, he does not have enough gold for it, so this looks like it might be one set of Raxes for eHug. I can't believe Medusa lived through that.
Absolutely. It's really deceptive how tanky Medusa is. 60% damage reduction is absurd. They're going to jump in, they drop down the Lion low, they forced out the Medusa inside the base, Medusa dropping low, but with some backup, SN7 might still survive, and indeed will do so. Buyback from the Earthshaker. SN7 needs to probably book it. Let's see, the Fissure flies out, doesn't connect onto the Medusa, and Medusa's just fine. That's melee barracks going away, and maybe even more is eHug. Find a huge opening. Boreal will have to commit everything to attempt to kill this Medusa, and they just don't have it in the tank. They lose their courier eHug, but that's pretty much all that they lose of substantial worth.
So Medusa has the mana shield. I didn't really notice it till now, but she has 34 freaking armor with the Assault Cuirass. So like, even if you do actually manage to burn through all her mana and you're trying to actually kill her, she's really darn tanky. Like, she's 2400 HP, 24 armor. That is not an easy kill to take. And well, Boreal, they lose 2 sets of Raxes, and eHug, they don't lose anyone on the retreat. Still, the Roshan is alive, and that means that it's going to be a little bit easier for them to snag that Roshan. after taking 2 sets of racks, especially with, you know, almost 6,000 gold in the bank for Medusa. That could help out in the next Roshan attempt as well. It's a Demon Edge item for the Medusa. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the Doctor, but you could always cross your fingers and hope. Most likely just an MKB for SN7, and it will be that. Plus a Manta style, you know, whatever you want, Medusa. The whole world right now is her oyster. Clearly, she just can't be killed.
Yeah, I think so. This is also a good choice. I don't think they need to give Medusa the Aegis. Even though they, if they really wanted to, could give an Aegis to Medusa as well as a Divine Rapier. I think that's probably the easiest way to lose this game. With 2 barracks up and you have Medusa on your side, the chances of you actually losing are more or less based on your overcommitments. As long as you play it safe, I think you're more or less completely fine. The Roshan fight could be pretty crucial and maybe Boreal's last hope of staying in this game.
And that fight that we saw last fight, where Medusa was just completely isolated from the rest of her team, that was eHug's, or Boreal's chance at coming back into this game and killing off the Medusa, and it just didn't work out. They're going to jump into the Roshan pit, make short work of him with the Battle Trance. No Ice Blast is flying in. eHug, they seem to not know about this, and that's going to cost them. Now they're up against a double life on the Troll Warlord. Cheese, who got, was this a Cheese Roshan? I'm pretty sure it was. No? Okay, so
I think it was second.
All right, it seems like it was the third one because it's 40 minutes in, but okay, so we just got the Aegis on the Troll Warlord, but eHug, they are 1 racks away from Megas, and Megas in this game is not as instant GG as it is in others, but it's still pretty damn hard for Boreal to come back from that, so slow and steady for eHug.
Yeah, currently SN7 just going to chip away at the tier 3 tower. It's very rare that you get to see a team get Roshan and then be forced into a defense. This is one of them. Hookshot in. They get to bounce onto SN7. They're going to bounce it back with the cogs, burning a little bit of his mana, but it's instead Loki to drop below. They are going to jump in. They get a lasso off onto the troll, and Deuce is just doing way too much damage. Stonegate is going to proc onto both Footsie as well as onto the Troll Warlord. Troll Warlord is going to come back into this game shortly. Slark able to pounce away, and it looks like he's going to survive. Troll blink immediately and will be able to run away, but the barracks not so lucky. This is going to be mega creeps. SN7 going to be bounced by the cogs. That's probably the most effective damage Clockwork can do. TP attempt coming out from the clock is going to be denied as he's just right-click down, and that might as well be it. They're going to buy back on the Clockwork as Slark looks to assassinate anything in the backlines. Can't even find the Venge. Venge is in the end going to die to the Troll Warlord, but what does it matter? Oh, hookshot in. This is the last-ditch effort. Lands at a creep. Stuns not on impact. But where is the follow-up damage? TP attempt is going to be denied by the Abyssal, and there's sure damage from the Troll and the Slark, but right now it's a long and almost impossible road for Boreal to come back into this game.
All right, they still have their Slark alive. They still have their Troll Warlord alive. We know how powerful these 2 heroes are at actually killing things. And at this point, heroes or towers, it doesn't really matter. eHug, they don't have their Ancient Apparition, and Boreal knows that the Ancient Apparition does not have a buyback. So Boreal, they have, I think, one chance right now. If they just group up and just go for it, then they have a chance at just winning, but they have to worry about their lanes. And if they're not going right now, then I don't think they're going to get another chance. Like, once the Ancient Apparition comes back up, eHug, they're at full strength, and you can no longer win if you're Boreal. You're not going to win against both Mega Creeps and an unkillable Medusa. It's just not in the cards for any team. So it's, I think, might be the end of the game very shortly. KVH is roaming around, scouting around, but man, that was even with an Aegis, and they couldn't do anything. And the Medusa got swapped out first thing in that fight, and they didn't even kill the Vengeful Spirit shortly after that. So it's looking really, really bad for Boreal at this stage. I don't know. I feel like a Divine Rapier would be the only way for Boreal to get back into this game, and that would involve SN7 buying it and then feeding it over.
Yeah, and right now, as long as he doesn't do that, I think they're completely fine. And you also have to deal with a buyback and Boots of Travel into the fight. Killing off the Dusa once is hard enough. Killing off twice feels really impossible. There's a Shadow Blade now on the Slark, and this might be able to catch eHug off guard, but who will they actually be able to kill? Hex over on the sidelines. They found themselves Lust, and Lust looks like he's going to fall. They bring in 747. Shadow Blade shown off. They bring in Muffins. Muffins going to be able to crit down the Lion with the Basher, and now going into 470. 470 going to be dropped down. SN7 in the middle of the mix. That's going to be the end of 2 heroes, and all they lose is their Vengeful Spirit. Buyback in the Venge. Fisher thrown out by Footsie, but they're on their last legs right now. SN7 with the rest of his team going to barrel down the mid lane.
Well, there's no Stone Gaze here, so Boreal, they have one less thing to worry about. They do have Split to worry about, and clearly a Brewmaster who is not going to mess around with some big crits. He's going to actually lose the courier. Lust also is going to get sniped off after buying back, so a nice pickup from Slark, but SN7 is a little bit more of an important target right now. KVH, that's not a Divine Rapier, that's an MKB. That one to really turn it. He's going to try to go for SN7, but by the time he actually gets to SN7, he's more or less dead. The bashing doing next to no damage. SN7 is going to shrug all of that off. 747 has to go into the Shadow Dance very, very early. The creeps are flooding the base. The Medusa is still alive, and that's a good game.
Nothing else that they can do. And eHug are going to take a 2-0 sweep over Boreal. It really feels like they just were more efficient and were more adept at taking the slight advantages in all of the trades. Throughout most of these games, it really felt like eHug had the advantage, even if it was just slight.
Man, if Boreal just went with their Slark Control Warlord when it was more like 20, 30 minutes in, when the Medusa only had a Lincoln Sphere and Yasha, they could have gotten so much more done, but playing defensively, getting the Medusa to a stage where she just can't be killed, ultimately ended up being the downfall of Boreal. So eHug, they are going to, I believe, move on to face Complexity, though I have no idea. They might just be in Division 1, but they're certainly very close to Division 1, if not already there.
Okay, so what it looks like from the joined Dota brackets is that they're going to face the winner of Leviathan versus Team Pineapple.
But that's in the lower bracket, though. And
They're in the upper bracket now. They just lost. Oh, no. I was talking
about eHug. Did I say Boreal?
I'm talking about Boreal. Either way, thanks for watching. That's going to be it for tonight. And well, we've been HeflaTV. I've been Granite V. He's been Mike Loris, and we should be back later on in this week. But at least for tonight, that's it.